Mother Nature can be a little temperamental. Oh, sorry, it's 2019, Father Nature. It could be either. Have you ever had it rain really hard where you live? Maybe there was flooding, or maybe lightning hit a tree. You know the power of nature, but there have been times in the past where an act of nature was so powerful, it literally changed the world forever. Here are 10 times acts of nature completely changed the world. Number 10 is the Chilean Earthquake. In the afternoon of February 27, 2010, an earthquake with a magnitude of 8.8 hit the country of Chile, lasting nearly 3 minutes and creating a massive tsunami with its tremors. The damage, which was estimated to have cost between $4 and $7 billion, was catastrophic, with over 370,000 homes damaged, many of which were completely destroyed. It wasn't until years later that the true changes that the Chilean earthquake caused became clear. It turns out that it actually moved entire cities, some of which by as much as 3 meters. But that was not the only shocking discovery. According to NASA, the earthquake managed to shift the entire planet on its axis by nearly 8 centimeters, therefore shortening the length of one day by 1.26 milliseconds. And y'all thought you didn't have enough time to get things done in the day as is. Number 9 is Lake Canyon Gorge. In July of 2002, a much higher than usual amount of rain raised the levels of the Guadalupe River, creating a flash flood that put some of the spillways in Comal County, Texas, to the test. Ultimately, the floodwaters managed to breach the dams. It did major damage to around 48,000 homes before going on to change the local landscape forever. In less than a week, the water managed to actually etch a large canyon into the bedrock. Dubbed the Lake Canyon Gorge, the carved space is 1.6 kilometers long and as deep as 15 meters. The flood even removed sediment, exposing limestone, new rocks, fossils, and even at least one set of dinosaur footprints. In the aftermath, a new ecosystem formed in the gorge, with fish and other wildlife moving into the pools left behind. But like, what kind of dinosaur footprint did they find? The Baldoraptorus? Number 8 is Hurricane Harvey. Tied with Hurricane Katrina as the world's most costly tropical cyclones, Hurricane Harvey formed over the Caribbean Sea east of the Lesser Antilles Islands on August 17, 2017. It ravaged the islands of Barbados and St. Vincent before making landfall in Texas. The storm caused over $125 billion in damage through high winds and severe flooding from the over 94 trillion liters of water that it rained down. The colossal amounts of seawater being added to the land crushed it, literally pushing the Earth's surface down in the area. And this in turn actually altered the planet's gravitational equilibrium. Literally, some islands and a part of the United States sank a bit, all because of rainwater. Number 7 is the Great Kanto Quake. On September 1st, 1923, a magnitude 7.9 earthquake shook the island of Japan. It did so much damage to Tokyo, the country's capital, that plans to make another city the capital was discussed. Incredibly, as the media stepped in to report on the event, multiple outlets began printing false rumors created during the confusion. The biggest was that Korean people were taking advantage of the chaos, burning down any buildings left standing, robbing people, and even trying to poison them. Because of this, angry mobs formed targeting Koreans, though many of the victims were of Chinese descent and were simply mistaken for being Korean. The positive out of this is that since then, accurate reporting has been enforced. Yep, definitely something we need in America. Number 6 is the Schatzi Earthquake. Considered one of the most devastating earthquakes in recorded history, the Schatzi Quake devastated the Chinese province of Schatzi on the morning of January 23, 1556. Estimated to have been a magnitude 8, the earthquake utterly destroyed an area of over 840 kilometers, wiping out buildings, cave structures, and pretty much anything else touching the ground. Those who survived found the land around them completely changed. Though it only lasted a few seconds, the quake caused a number of massive floods and fires, and actually managed to tear down mountains and form a few new ones, and even redirect rivers that existed for centuries. The quake almost couldn't have changed the landscape any more than it did. Number 5 is the Great Blizzard of 1888. On March 11, 1888, one of the worst blizzards the United States had ever experienced hit, and the event changed the city of New York forever. Called the Great Blizzard of 1888, the storm crippled the entire Northeast, dumping over a meter of snow in various places. For several days, people were stuck or stranded, many without phones, water, or gas, and unable to escape in their cars or the trains, while city workers struggled to clear it all. When spring finally came, the city of New York decided to put their water, gas, telegraph, and telephone lines underground to spare them from being frozen or damaged. Also, to ensure the transportation nightmare didn't happen again, the now world-famous subway system was developed, changing how New Yorkers got around to this day. Still, it gets a little weird in the subway. I can tell you in LA, there's some characters in there. Number 4 is the El Nino weather pattern. The Earth is not actually a perfect sphere. It's actually elongated, and it isn't even the same shape that it used to be. In 2005, a team of researchers at the University of Texas discovered that over the previous 28 years, the planet's shape had been affected by an annual, naturally occurring climate event called El Nino. During El Nino, the temperature of the surface of the tropical eastern Pacific Ocean rises, causing high air surface pressure and unpredictable weather conditions. The climate shift moves the water contained in the oceans, continents, and atmosphere, which in turn shifts the Earth's gravity field. Two specific events, the first occurring between 1986 and 1991, and the second between 1996 and 2002, were shown to have bulged the planet at the equator and flattened it slightly at its poles, changing its shape. Number 3 is the year without a summer. On April 10, 1815, one of the most powerful volcanic eruptions in recorded history occurred on the island of Sumbawa in Indonesia. This is when Mount Tambora exploded, sending over 10 tons of rock and magma in every direction. This resulted in the obliteration of the town of Tambora and rocked Southeast Asia. But what came next changed history. After the biggest explosion, a massive amount of ash flew up from the volcano and into the sky, forming a humongous cloud that traveled around the world, blocking out the sun as it went. This actually managed to reduce the global temperature significantly, causing a number of weather distortions and even caused famines throughout the next year, leading many to call 1816 a year without a summer. Number 2 is the Galveston Hurricane. Considered one of the most intense natural disasters the United States has ever seen, the Galveston Hurricane made landfall on September 8, 1900, and absolutely demolished the island city of Galveston, Texas. The Category 4 hurricane was so powerful, houses were torn from their foundations and hurled about. More than 3,600 such buildings were destroyed by the 217-kilometer-an-hour winds. That number should have been much smaller, but because of the bafflingly wrong predictions and the quite frankly idiocy of the director of the Weather Bureau in Washington, who cut off incoming intel from Cuba where the storm was sighted, people were completely unprepared for it. However, this unfortunate event did bring positives, specifically advances in predicting and communicating such storms. And number 1 is the Japanese earthquake and tsunami. On March 11, 2011, the most powerful earthquake to hit Japan in recorded history, shook the island country. After the ground stopped shaking, a tsunami with waves higher than 40 meters flooded the city of Miyako, and 3 nuclear reactors experienced level 7 meltdowns, causing even more destruction. As the costliest disaster in Earth's history, it's been estimated that the economic cost was nearly $235 billion US. In the aftermath, it was discovered that the main island of Japan, Honshu, had actually been pushed eastward by 2.4 meters. On top of that, the quake managed to shift the Earth's axis by as much as 25 centimeters. Talk about a world-changing event.